The afternoon sun presses down relentlessly on the Alabama cotton fields. Sweat runs into eyes, stings, drips onto the cracked soil. Every hand, every back, a testament to endless labor. Baskets bulge with white bowls. The fibers prick, snag, and tear the skin. The rhythm of picking is unbroken, yet a tension underlies each movement, something unseen, something always watching. A breeze stirs, carrying faint scents of smoke and sweet hay from distant cane fires. The wind twists between the rows like a whispered message. Fact, Freedmen's Bureau records indicate families attempting life beyond slavery, yet suffering disease, hunger, and mysterious disappearances. Some names recorded simply as fate unknown. Folklore, WPA narratives speak of spirits that follow the pickers, unseen hands that adjust baskets, voices murmuring in the wind, warnings carried from generations past. Children weave through the adults, their laughter bright, then vanishes. Eyes widen. A chill runs down small spines. They later describe figures at the edges of the rows, shadows that move independently of the sun. Sect contemporary newspaper reports recount workers who vanished midday, never seen again. Families searching, desperation mounting. Folklore whispers of a phantom regiment. Invisible troops moving silently along the fields at dusk, their footsteps carried in the rustle of leaves. The cabins at the edge of the fields are silent, some abandoned, paint-peeling shutters flapping in the heat. The air heavy with memory. Fact, agricultural ledgers detail not only cotton yields, but absences, deaths, and injuries. A record of human toil. Folklore dreams describe the fields bleeding, cotton turning red, baskets overturning under invisible weight, spirits cautioning the living, a covenant between past and present. Workers speak little, voices muted by heat and fatigue, backs bent, fingers raw, heads bowed, eyes darting at fleeting movement. Fact diaries and letters collected by WPA historians note the anxiety and fear that pervaded the daily work. Unspoken tension, absences that cannot be explained. Folklore songs sung quietly beneath breath, steal away, carry warnings. The melody threading through the cotton, guiding hands preserving memory. A sudden shift in wind. The branches sway. A shadow passes across a basket. A man pauses, hands suspended in motion. Heart quickens. The sense of eyes where none can be. Fact, oral histories recount workers hearing names called in the fields, sometimes warnings, sometimes familiar voices. Folklore spirits moving unseen, watching, guiding, sometimes punishing, ever present. The rows extend endlessly. The horizon shimmers. Light dances across cotton, yet within the light lurks darkness. Fact Bureau records hint at absences aligned with folklore warnings. Workers who vanished after strange occurrences, names never recovered. Folklore elders speak of the marching dead, soldiers who perished in wars, returning to fields to guide, to watch, to enforce memory. As the afternoon deepens, sweat mingles with dirt. The sun casts long shadows, and in those shadows, shapes shift. Fact and folklore entwined. Each pick, each basket, each glance toward the horizon. A record of toil, a whisper of spirits, a reminder of endurance, survival, and the haunting legacy of the Alabama cotton fields. The sun leans lower over the Alabama cotton fields. Long shadows stretch like reaching fingers, clawing at the backs of workers bent over the soil. Sweat drips into eyes, stings, mingles with the dust of crushed cotton. Baskets teeter on shoulders and hips, threatening to spill the weight of a day's labor. Yet hands continue unbroken, the rhythm relentless. An unseen presence moves among the rows, brushing past felt but unseen, whispering of fate's unknown stories untold. Children weave through the adults, their laughter cutting briefly through the oppressive heat. Then silence falls like a heavy cloth. Eyes widen, breaths held, fingers gripping basket rims tighter. The wind carries faint whispers, voices with no source. Fact newspapers occasionally note workers missing, listed simply as fate unknown, leaving families desperate and puzzled. Folklore elders tell of spirits moving silently through the cotton, guiding hands, warning of danger, observing the living, unseen but ever present. A young woman stops mid-step, lifting a heavy basket. Fibers prick her fingers. Sweat runs down her brow and back. She senses a shadow cross the rows, brushing past. Heart pounding. Fact WPA narratives recount workers feeling invisible hands touching baskets and shoulders. Folklore. Phantom figures invisible yet tangible, adjusting baskets guiding the laborers in silence, carrying the weight of memory across generations. Men glance at one another, suspicion flickering in tired eyes. No words are spoken, only the subtle exchange of glances. The tension thickens in the air, heavy with the unspoken. Fact Bureau records note multiple absences in a single day, often unexplained with no trace of the missing workers. Folklore whispers circulate of phantom regiments, silent soldiers from wars past, marching along the rows, their footsteps carried on the wind, a warning to those who remain, a reminder of those lost. The wind shifts and rustles the leaves and cotton bolls. A faint melody drifts across the fields. Steal away. Soft haunting carried faintly across rows. Back WPA interviews, record spirituals hummed quietly by workers sung under breath for protection. Folklore. The songs also serve as omens, messages from ancestors. Spirits moving unseen, threading between the rows, connecting the living and the dead, the past and the present. Baskets spill, fibers fly through the air, hands tremble from exhaustion. Workers stare toward the horizon uneasy. Fact diaries describe neighbors vanishing suddenly mid-field, never to return. Folklore phantom regiments move silently through the rows unseen, ensuring the memory of toil of suffering persists across generations, a warning and a testament to endurance. Sunlight slices across the soil, creating illusions. Shadows merge and separate. A figure appears, then vanishes. Fact, ledgers note missing names never recovered. Folklore spirits linger where life once labored, silent witnesses to suffering, guardians of memory, hands brushing the cotton as if replaying the labor of the living. A young man pauses mid-step, sweat dripping, eyes fixed. The wind whispers a warning, carrying the scent of burnt cane from distant fields. Fact letters and oral histories describe anxiety, sudden disappearances and unexplained phenomena during the harvest. Folklore spirits watch, guide, and sometimes punish, ever-present, reminding workers of the past, tethering them to the soil. Hands reddened, backs bent. The rhythm continues, yet a heaviness presses down from above unseen. Fact overseer reports note the nervousness among pickers, describing a sense of being watched. Folklore fields alive with memory, spectral hands influencing labor, shaping stories that refuse to fade, a haunting presence interwoven with every row. Distant smoke curls across the horizon, scent of burning cane mingling with cotton dust. Workers glance nervously, unease spreading. Fact historical records confirm fire accidents coinciding with disappearances. Folklore fire viewed as both cleansing and warning, a reminder that the past is never far, a presence, always watching, always reminding. A child at the edge freezes, pointing, nothing visible, yet movement is perceived at the corner of vision. Fact. WPA interviews recount children seeing shadows, adults could not. Folklore eyes of the past, watching, guiding, punishing, and reminding the living that memory is never erased. Sweat mixes with blood from raw hands. Backs bend, bodies straining. Rhythm continues unbroken. Fact. Medical logs note exhaustion, heat stroke, and injuries, yet some disappearances remain unexplained. Folklore ghosts of the lost labor, through the living intertwining memory and toil, a presence felt though unseen. The wind carries whispers, names called softly, barely audible. Fact oral histories report repeated calls of missing workers in the fields. Folklore spirits reminding the living of debts unpaid, of stories untold, haunting every row, threading history through labor. Shadows move swiftly across the rows. Workers freeze, then resume. Fact plantation records describe sudden absences during the day. Folklore. The marching dead of phantom regiments silent, but felt their eyes watching, ensuring the legacy of toil persists. Baskets grow heavier, sun lowers, fibers sticking to sweat-soaked skin. Fact harvest ledgers note productivity, but also missing yields. Folklore spirits influence labor, reminding the living, preserving legacy, ensuring endurance. A distant, unplaceable cry echoes across the fields. Workers glance, searching, nothing visible. Fact witnesses describe hearing voices during work with no identifiable source. Folklore spirits warn, guide, and sometimes punish. Messages from beyond impossible to ignore. Shadows lengthen, forms merge in peripheral vision. Workers glimpse movement uncertain. Fact diaries mention hallucinations under heat and fatigue. Folklore spirits manifest to remind the living of history and unfinished business, weaving past and present into one continuum. Evening falls. The fields become a sea of gray and black. Fogged families abandon fields after repeated disappearances. Folklore, restless spirits linger. Ghostly melodies hum softly in the wind, memory preserved in silence. A man stumbles, glances behind, nothing visible, yet dread grips him. Fact WPA interviews describe an oppressive unseen presence felt by workers. Folklore, invisible hands test endurance, remind of the past, and maintain a spectral vigilance. Last rays of sun illuminate the soil. Workers leave for the day. Shadows stretch, whispers linger. Backed in folklore entwined, memory and labor inseparable. The fields themselves keep records, unseen, relentless, haunting, a legacy that refuses to die. A sudden scream pierces the heavy afternoon. A young worker disappears between the rows. The others freeze mid-motion, baskets drop, spilling cotton across the dry soil. Their hands tremble, hearts pounding. Local newspapers occasionally note midday disappearances listed simply as fate unknown, leaving families desperate and puzzled. Folklore elders whisper of phantom figures, taking the lost shadows, moving silently along the rows, unseen but felt guiding or warning. The rhythm of labor broken by fear. A family cabin at the field's edge stands, abandoned shutters rattling. Smoke curls from nowhere, carrying a faint acrid scent. Workers glance nervously toward it. Fact property records note entire families relocating after strange incidents, fields left untended. Folklore. Restless spirits claim the land, their presence lingering, watching over the laborers. Whispers threading between the trees, carrying the memory of toil and vanished lives. Baskets overturn inexplicably, cotton spills in chaotic waves across the soil. Workers glance at each other with wide eyes. Fear laces every movement. Fact Bureau reports describe unexplained accidents, missing hands, absent pickers. Folklore, phantom regiment marches silently through the rows, unseen, palpable, guiding or punishing, ensuring the laborers remember their place in the long shadow of history. Children playing near the edge vanish briefly, returning pale silent, their eyes wide with secrets. Fact WPA interviews recount these fleeting disappearances, the children too, shaken to explain. Folklore. Some say they were touched by spirits, shown glimpses of what lingers beyond life, learning the whispered warnings of the fields. The wind carries a melody, faint, haunting. Steal away, threading through the cotton like a warning. Fact historical accounts mention workers humming spirituals quietly under breath for protection. Folklore. The songs double as omens. Notes traced by ghostly hands, weaving unseen threads between the living and dead, past and present, memory and labor. Shadows shift unnaturally. Workers glimpse figures moving among the rows, only to vanish when observed directly. Fact diaries report sudden chills, baskets tipping fingers brushed by unseen presences. Folklore, phantom regiment soldiers long dead, moving again silently, enforcing memory. Marching, patrolling, teaching endurance, a presence that cannot be ignored. A man stops mid-step, sweat streaming down his face, eyes fixed on a shadow detaching from the field edge, heart hammering. Fact overseer notes mention absenteeism following such incidents. Folklore spirits testing vigilance, reminding the living of past horrors, tethering them to the soil, ensuring no action goes unobserved. Evening descends, the rows darken. A distant, unplaceable cry echoes faintly. Workers glance toward the horizon, unsettled. Fact newspapers record voices reported by multiple witnesses, never explained. Folklore spirits communicating across generations. Messages carried in wind, guiding, warning, haunting. Invisible, yet undeniable. A basket drops suddenly, spilling cotton across the dirt. Hands tremble, sweat mixing with dust. Workers glance nervously. Fact harvest ledgers note missing yields coinciding with strange occurrences. Folklore, phantom figures creating disruptions, marking the living, teaching lessons, ensuring the memory of toil endures. Smoke rises again along the horizon, curling in unnatural shapes. Workers glance nervously, uneasy. Fact fire records show mysterious blazes in abandoned fields. Folklore are interpreted as warning and cleansing. Spectral presence manifesting, a signal from the past, a lesson to the living. Shadows coalesce into humanoid shapes between rows. Workers glance quickly, unsure. Forms vanish when focused on. Some oral histories report sightings of marching figures never fully seen. Folklore phantom regiment moving silently. Their steps felt in the soil never heard, watching the living, punishing or protecting, preserving memory. Children halt mid-play frozen, pointing at empty spaces. Fact. WPA interviews recount children sensing invisible presences adults never see. Folklore spirits teaching caution, transmitting warnings across generations, a living memory embedded in the fields. A man collapses under the sun, sweat and fatigue overwhelming him. Fact. Medical logs note heat stroke exhaustion, yet disappearances remain unexplained. Folklore, ghosts of the lost labor through the living, intertwining memory with sweat and soil, presence felt though unseen. Wind carries whispered names soft, almost inaudible. Workers shiver glancing nervously. Fact oral accounts describe repeated hearing of missing persons' names. Folklore spirits reminding the living of debts, unpaid of stories untold, haunting every row, threading history into labor. Shadows flicker in the last light of day. Figures appear between rows, vanish. Fact diaries note hallucinations under heat and fatigue. Folklore spirits manifest to remind the living of unfinished business, replaying history, weaving past and present, guiding endurance. Smoke curls along the horizon, scent mingling with cotton dust. Workers glance nervously. Fact fire and missing worker incidents often coincide. Folklore spectral presence seen as warning lingering. Messages carried across time. A young woman stumbles, looks back, sees a shadow detach from the field edge. Fact WPA accounts describe unseen pressures, sudden chills. Folklore, phantom regiment testing vigilance. Unseen eyes marking the living. A legacy that cannot be ignored. Baskets heavier bodies strained. Rhythm unbroken. Fact ledgers note high yields despite missing workers. Folklore spirits influencing labor, preserving legacy, ensuring endurance. Memory entwined with toil. The evening air thickens. Shadows stretch, whispers swirl. Fact families report unexplained movement of objects in abandoned cabins. Folklore. Restless spirits linger guiding or warning, passing knowledge and history silently to the living. Last light fades. Workers depart. Rows become a sea of gray and black. Fact and folklore entwined. Memory and labor inseparable. Phantom regiment continues its silent patrol. The legacy of toil and haunting carried forward. Unseen, relentless, enduring. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the cotton fields. Dust rises, as if stirred by invisible feet. Workers glance nervously toward the horizon, sweat dripping from brows. Fact, lost diaries describe sudden disappearances of laborers leaving baskets behind. Families frantic searching in vain. Folklore elders whisper that spirits guide the fleeing unseen, yet shaping every step. Their presence palpable in the trembling leaves. Each movement a warning, each glance a memory. A wind shifts suddenly carrying the faint scent of burnt cane, the air heavy with tension. Fact Bureau reports note missing pages from plantation ledgers, some entire harvest records erased or lost. Folklore. It is said spirits took them, preserving secrets of those who vanished. The living feel eyes upon them, hands trembling as they work, back stiff eyes darting the rhythm uneasy. Each step measured against unseen oversight. Moonlight glances across the soil, illuminating rows empty, yet echoing with past toil. Fact WPA interviews recount workers seeing shadows of absent laborers at night, ghostly figures moving silently following the rhythm of past labor. Folklore, phantom regiment marches returning to check the harvest. Unseen yet intensely felt, hearts racing as baskets sway. Each pick a reminder, each movement shadowed, history etched into every fiber. A small cabin at the edge creaks shutters rattling. Smoke curls mysteriously from the chimney. Fact, family letters reference whispered rituals performed at night, offerings left for unseen presences. Folklore dream visions describe feathers beads, candles placed carefully along the field's edge. The living trying to honor the lost, appeasing spirits calming the restless. Each gesture weighted with history, woven into the labor. Children peer through the rows pointing toward a dark shape. Fact diaries recount children seeing figures adults cannot detect, their tiny voices trembling as they describe what they witnessed. Folklore spirits testing the living, showing glimpses of past suffering, teaching lessons in caution endurance. a covenant older than the plantation, embedded in the cotton itself, each step a silent guide. Workers pause as baskets appear to move independently, cotton spilling hands trembling. Fact overseer reports note missing yields coinciding with strange events. Folklore, unseen hands guiding, sometimes punishing. The living understand the consequences of negligence, a tactile connection between labor and spectral presence. History threading through every fiber, teaching lessons through shadowed movements. Moonlight reflects off cotton fibers, creating illusions of movement. Fact letters describe sudden vanishings during nightfall. Folklore, spectral soldiers, phantom regiment returning to the rows. Silent patrol, unseen but monitoring. Each worker's motion tracked by unseen eyes. Each step a test, every misstep observed, lessons learned in shadow. A man shivers under the wind, sensing a presence. Distant melodies drift faintly. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Fact oral histories recount spirituals humming without singers. Folklore songs serve as guidance spirits communicating through sound, reminding workers of history, loss, and endurance. Each note threading past and present, the cotton fields alive with memory, unseen hands shaping understanding. Smoke from distant fires drifts into the fields. Workers glance nervously, unease spreading. Fact archival records confirm small fires coinciding with disappearances. Folklore flames serve as warning. Spectral presence manifesting, teaching respect for labor and memory. Shadows dancing with intent. Every flicker a reminder. Every ember a ghostly hand, linking past to present. Shadows deepen as sun sets. Workers' backs bent, eyes wary. Fact. Medical notes describe exhaustion, heat stroke, yet workers vanish with no trace. Folklore, ghosts of the lost labor through the living, intertwining memory with sweat and soil. Invisible presence shaping every motion, ensuring stories endure, weaving the past into the harvest, silent yet profound. A distant howl breaks the silence. Baskets sway, hands freeze mid-pick. Fact newspapers occasionally report unknown cries in fields. Folklore, phantom regiment communicating warnings, moving silently unseen. Every heartbeat aware. Workers tense yet continue. Haunted rhythm of labor. The echo never fades. Memory embedded in soil. Leaves rustle. A faint figure appears along a row, then vanishes. Fact WPA diaries recount glimpses of workers no longer present. Folklore shadows replay past labor, invisible hands correcting mistakes. Guiding living hands, weaving memory into physical work. Unseen yet influencing. Each pick an echo, each basket a story. Wind whispers names soft, unplaceable. Workers shiver, glancing nervously. Fact oral accounts describe repeated calls of missing persons. Folklore, spirits reminding the living of debts, owed, unfinished stories. Haunting every row, threading history into labor, presence felt in every rustle and shadow, guiding, warning, teaching. Baskets tip unexpectedly, cotton spilling across the dirt. Workers freeze, heart racing. Fact harvest ledgers show missing yields. Folklore, spectral intervention, unseen, enforcing order. Ensuring remembrance. Rhythm of labor intertwined with spirits. Hands guided, eyes watched. Memory inseparable from toil. Shadows as teachers. Evening grows colder. Shadows elongate. A chill grips the field. Fact diaries describe workers sensing unseen pressure. Folklore, phantom regiment silently patrolling, testing vigilance. Eyes, unseen footsteps never heard. Lessons etched into each row. Labor framed by past and present. Endurance measured against shadows. Feathers and beads appear at field edges. Remnants of rituals. Fact WPA reports describe protective religious ceremonies. Folklore, dream visions depict spirits accepting offerings, communicating guidance. Teaching or punishing. Weaving lessons into harvest. The living guided by unseen hands. Each step and gesture measured. Children freeze, pointing at empty spaces. Fact interviews describe supernatural sensations felt by the young. Folklore, spirits instructing. Glimpses of past suffering, moral lessons. Generations linked by invisible threads. Labor imbued with memory. Cotton carrying warnings. Eyes unseen but felt. Moonlight glimmers off cotton bowls. Illusionary figures move peripherally. Fact overseer notes detail worker disappearances at night. Folklore, phantom regiment patrolling, silent, vigilant. Presence felt in every movement, shaping memory. Each basket, each step a story recorded, legacy maintained, wind shifts carrying faint spiritual melodies. Workers pause mid-motion, uneasy. Fact. Archival accounts note humming without singers, folklore spirits weaving songs into labor, messages, guidance, warnings. Cottonfields alive with memory, spectral hands guiding unseen, history breathing through rhythm. Darkness falls, fields silent yet thick with presence. Fact and folklore entwined, memory and labor inseparable. Phantom regiment continues patrol, whispers echo in wind, every basket, every row a record. Relentless haunting enduring, legacy of toil and spirits carried forward, unseen yet tangible, eternal. Night descends over the Alabama cotton fields, shadows stretching long across the soil. Moonlight glimmers off the white bowls, illuminating the figures of the workers still bent under the weight of the day. Fact, lost, WPA documents reveal missing witness testimonies, letters never returned, statements erased. Folklore spirits glide unseen through the rows, brushing baskets lightly, guiding hands, whispering lessons of endurance. The rhythm of labor intertwined with memory, each step heavy with the presence of those gone. Eyes dart, hearts racing, sweat mingling with soil. Whispers threading through the wind, carrying untold stories. A distant church bell tolls, echoing across abandoned cabins and empty rows. Workers glance nervously, pausing mid-pick. Fact archival records reference nocturnal religious ceremonies performed to honor lost laborers, protective rituals lingering at the field's edge. Folklore, feathers, beads, and small candles appear in dream visions, placed by invisible hands. Spirits observing, guiding, sometimes punishing. The living trembling as they follow unseen instructions. Every shadow seems to stretch and move with intent, a tangible presence pressing against the night, each breath weighted with history. Figures appear at the edges of cabins, then vanish in the darkness. Workers freeze mid-motion, baskets heavy on shoulders. Fact diaries and letters recount partial sightings of vanished colleagues, faces blurred, fleeting. Folklore, phantom regiment marching silently through the cotton, returning to check harvests, unseen yet intensely felt. Footsteps echoing in memory, eyes watching without being seen. Each step a warning, each glance a lesson. History woven into labor, the night alive with presence. Moonlight reflects off cotton fibers, creating illusions of movement along the rows. Fact-lost testimonies describe workers disappearing under the faint light. Folklore, spectral soldiers return to patrol, guiding lost souls. Invisible hands correcting mistakes, shaping motions of the living. Lessons embedded in rhythm, morality taught through labor. Shadows stretching across the ground like reminders. Every glance a tether to the past. The field itself alive with memory, whispered instructions riding the wind. A young woman pauses mid-pick, sweat glistening on her brow, eyes fixed on an empty space where a shadow seems to move. Fact. WPA interviews describe workers sensing presences invisible to the eye, baskets shifting without touch. Folklore spirits replay past labors, adjusting motions, teaching caution, preserving memory. Unseen, yet palpably guiding. Every breath heavy with anticipation, cotton rustles as if alive, unseen fingers tracing the pattern of toil, a covenant older than the fields themselves. Soft whispers drift across the rows, a melody, faint, haunting. Steal away, steal away. Fact. Spirituals are recorded in oral histories, often hummed without singers. Folklore, the songs carry warnings, guidance. Invisible hands weaving messages through rhythm. Memory of past suffering threading into present labor. Workers shiver, pausing mid-step. Baskets sway lightly, shadows stretching unnaturally. The melody binding past and present labor and memory, a presence alive in sound. Smoke curls from distant fires drifting into the fields. Workers glance nervously, unease pressing down. Back historical records confirm small fires coinciding with disappearances. Folklore. Spectral flames mark boundaries, warnings, lessons. Shadows dancing with intent, flickering against baskets and cotton. Unseen figures moving in rhythm with the wind, teaching vigilance and endurance. Labor intertwined with ghostly oversight. Each step measured against memory, the past alive in every ember. Shadows deepen as night falls. Workers' backs bent, fingers raw. Fact. Medical notes describe exhaustion, heat stroke, yet disappearances continue unexplained. Folklore, ghosts of lost laborers moving through the living, threading memory and with action. hands brushing cotton lightly, each motion observed, each misstep a lesson, rhythm of toil carrying the past forward, unseen presence shaping motion, whispered guidance invisible but palpable. A distant howl echoes across the fields, baskets sway mid-pick, workers freeze. Fact, newspapers report unexplained cries, voices in the night, folklore phantom regiment communicating silently, marking territory, observing the living, presence felt footsteps never heard, shadows elongating unnaturally, teaching endurance, labor infused with history, every motion tethered to memory, whispers threading through the night air. Leaves rustle. A faint figure appears along a row, then dissolves into darkness. Fact, WPA diaries recount fleeting visions of vanished laborers. Folklore shadows replay past labor invisible hands guiding correcting, rhythm of picking carrying lessons. Every glance weighted with memory, unseen pressure pressing on shoulders, legacy of toil etched into the soil, whispers echoing across the cotton, presence palpable if unseen. Wind carries names soft, unplaceable. Workers shiver. Fact, oral accounts describe repeated calling of missing persons' names in the fields. Folklore spirits reminding the living of debts, owed unfinished stories, haunting every row, threading history into labor, shadows bending with intent, memory alive in rustle and whisper, eyes unseen yet ever present. Baskets tip spilling cotton across dirt. Workers freeze mid-motion heart pounding. Fact harvest ledgers note missing yields during night shifts. Folklore, spectral intervention, enforcing remembrance, rhythm of labor influenced by invisible hands, presence guiding correcting, memory woven into motion, each step a lesson, shadows moving through every pick, legacy preserved in silence. Evening deepens, shadows merge and stretch. Fact lost letters reference sightings of vanished workers at night. Folklore phantom regiment patrolling silently. Presence felt in every movement shaping memory. Unseen hands guiding, correcting, preserving. Each motion heavy with past toil. Whispers echoing through cotton fields. Legacy and labor entwined. Lessons embedded in sweat and soil. Moonlight glints off cotton bowls, illusions of movement appear. Fact overseer logs note unexplained absences during night. Folklore, phantom regiment moving through rows. Unseen vigilant, eyes watching every action. Shadows teaching endurance. Labor threaded with history. Rhythm of work carrying memory. Presence ever present. Wind shifts carrying faint spiritual melodies. Workers pause mid-motion. Sast oral histories report humming without singers. Folklore spirits embedding guidance into labor. Warnings, lessons, messages. Rhythm of work becomes conduit for memory, past threading through present. Unseen hands shaping motion and purpose. Cotton fields alive with whispers. Shadows merge with smoke from distant cane fires. Fact archival documents note disappearances coinciding with mysterious smoke. Folklore, spectral presence manifesting. Invisible yet palpable, shaping labor and teaching vigilance. Presence felt in motion, lessons transmitted through night, every step weighted with history. Legacy preserved in shadow. Workers glance nervously, baskets heavy hands raw. Fact letters from supervisors note strange phenomena affecting labor. Folklore, phantom regiment observing silently, shaping rhythm, memory intertwined with sweat and shadow. Presence guiding motion. Each movement tethered to past toil, unseen yet deeply felt. Feathers, beads, and candles appear at field edges, remnants of protective rituals. Fact WPA reports describe ceremonial offerings for unseen spirits. Folklore, dream visions depict spirits accepting gifts, guiding, punishing, preserving. Lessons etched into soil, gestures weighted with history, hands moving under spectral instruction, unseen presence threading memory into action. Children freeze pointing at unseen forms. Fact oral histories describe supernatural impressions felt by youth. Folklore, spirits instructing, glimpses of past suffering morality lessons. Generations linked invisibly, cotton carrying warnings. Unseen guidance felt in every motion. Rhythm of labor a teacher. Memory alive in shadows. Darkness falls completely. Cotton fields silent heavy with presence. Fact and folklore entwined. Memory and labor inseparable. Phantom regiment continues patrol unseen, relentless. Whispers echo in wind. Every basket, every row a record. Haunting, enduring. legacy of toil and spirits carried forward, unseen yet palpable, eternal presence of past shaping present. Night has fully claimed the Alabama cotton fields, moonlight barely touching the tops of bowls. Workers have departed, leaving rows silent. Fact Bureau records show families abandoning fields, villages emptied. Folklore spirits linger, echoing through empty cabins, whispering lessons of labor and loss. Memory carried in every footstep, every sway of cotton, shadows stretching long entwined with sweat, toil, and history. The land itself remembers. Empty cabins creak in the wind, shutters rattling. Smoke curls without source. Fact. WPA interviews note abandoned homes, possessions left behind. Folklore, restless spirits wandering thresholds, guiding or warning. Invisible hands smoothing baskets, adjusting fibers. Shadows moving as if alive. Stories of vanished laborers whispered through leaves. The air thick with history. The living haunted by what remains unseen. The fields seem endless under starlight. Fact archival maps show migration patterns and families displaced after repeated disappearances. Folklore, phantom regiment still marches unseen, watching over the cotton, footsteps echoing silently, weaving past and present together, labor and memory inseparable. Every row a record, every basket a testament, whispers carried on wind, teaching vigilance across generations. A faint melody drifts across the soil. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Fact oral histories describe spirituals humming in the absence of singers. Folklore spirits, embedding guidance, warnings, stories into labor. Rhythm of work carrying memory forward. Hands moving in silent recognition. Shadows stretching across the fields. Unseen eyes recording endurance. The past alive in every gesture. Presence tangible though invisible. Dust rises as night winds sweep through empty rows. Fact. Newspapers note crops abandoned, yields, lost workers vanished. Folklore, invisible hands lingering, shaping the living's motion, teaching, punishing, preserving. Echoes of toil imprinting themselves on each seed. Memory alive in fibers and baskets and footsteps. Unseen yet ever present, legacy enduring. The smell of smoked cotton and earth lingers. Fact archival diaries reference fires coinciding with disappearances. Folklore, spectral flames as omens, a warning to respect labor and memory. Shadows flicker with intent, hands guided by unseen presence. Every motion weighted with history. Lessons passed down silently, the fields alive with echoes of the past. Wind carries whispers faint but unrelenting. Fact letters describe voices calling names unanswered. Folklore spirits reminding the living of debts owed, stories untold. Memory preserved through rhythm and toil. Shadows bending with intent, cotton rustling as if alive. Each step a lesson, hands and feet guided by invisible instructors. Legacy etched in soil. Abandoned cabins and fields hold stories untold. Fact, Bureau ledgers document missing workers, yields lost. Folklore, phantom regiments silently patrolling, guarding, observing, shaping labor. Presence tangible in every motion. Unseen hands adjusting baskets, guiding fingers. Rhythm of toil carrying memory. The living haunted by those who came before. Lessons encoded in shadow. Children long gone from the fields still whisper names. Fact WPA accounts record recollections of vanished kin. Folklore spirits transmitting guidance across generations. Threads connecting past suffering with present labor. Every glance, every gesture weighted. Unseen eyes marking endurance. The cotton fields alive with history. Memory intertwined with sweat. Stories surviving through shadow and song. A lone figure walks through the rows at night. Fact letters describe wanderers returning unsettled. Folklore, phantom regiment observe them silent. Testing vigilance, reminding of past horrors. Each step heavy with legacy. Baskets swaying fibers, brushing hands as if alive. Rhythm of work, a bridge across time. Lessons etched in soil, presence eternal. Moonlight glints off the bowls. Fact diaries describe ghostly figures moving, vanishing. Folklore spirits replaying labor, teaching caution, patience. Every glance tethered to past toil. Hands guided by invisible presence. Baskets as conduits of memory. Shadows alive with history. Legacy preserved through silent observation. Rhythm of work infused with spectral guidance. Soft melodies hum through empty rows. Steal away, steal away. Fact, Oral histories note these spirituals often heard without singers, their folklore guidance and warnings carried in song, invisible hands threading lessons into labor, workers' gestures shaped by unseen instruction, each step a memory, every basket a story, shadows stretching across time, presence both unseen and deeply felt, smoke drifts from distant fires, fact archival records confirm coinciding disappearances, folklore flames as spectral markers, warnings for the living, shadows flickering with intent, hands moving under unseen guidance, rhythm of labor echoing past toil, lessons transmitted silently, memory alive in every motion, fields haunted yet instructive. Shadows lengthen as night deepens, workers long gone, cabins silent. Fact medical logs describe missing laborers, heat exhaustion, yet some never accounted for. Folklore spirits moving through living memory, adjusting motion, preserving lessons. Presence felt in baskets and fibers, rhythm of labor carrying history forward, unseen guardians marking endurance, stories etched into soil. Feathers, beads, and candles appear along field edges. Fact WPA reports note ceremonial offerings for protection, folklore, spirits accepting gifts, guiding, punishing, invisible yet influencing motion, lessons embedded in harvest, gestures heavy with memory, unseen presence shaping each movement, the rhythm of toil a teacher, shadows alive with guidance. Children pause mid-step pointing to unseen forms. Fact oral histories describe youth, sensing presences invisible to adults. Folklore lessons transmitted silently, glimpses of past suffering moral warnings, generations linked by invisible threads, cotton carrying guidance, rhythm of labor intertwined with memory, shadows marking endurance. Moonlight glimmers off cotton bowls, illusions of movement apparent. Fact overseer notes record nighttime disappearances, folklore, phantom regiment silently patrolling, presence shaping motion, correcting errors, labor threaded with history, every step weighted with legacy, unseen influence guiding hands, rhythm of work carrying lessons, soft wind carries spiritual melodies, workers long gone, yet echoes remain. Fact, oral histories report singing without visible singers, folklore, spirits embedding guidance, warnings into labor, memory carried through rhythm, unseen hands shaping purpose, baskets, hands, and rows alive with stories, presence palpable, past breathing through present. Shadows merge with smoke from distant fires. Fact archival documents note disappearances coinciding with fires. Folklore, spectral presence manifesting, guiding teaching, hands-guided gestures corrected. Rhythm of labor teaching endurance. Legacy preserved in every motion, unseen yet influential, memory alive. Darkness falls completely. Cottonfields silent, heavy with presence. Fact and folklore entwined. Memory and labor inseparable. Phantom regiment continues patrol unseen, relentless. Whispers echo in wind. Every basket, every row a record. Haunting, enduring. Legacy of toil and spirits carried forward. Unseen, palpable, eternal. Night has fully claimed the Alabama cotton fields. Moonlight glimmers faintly on the white bowls. Fact Bureau records show families abandoning the fields, entire villages empty. Folklore spirits linger in cabins and rows, whispering lessons of labor and loss. Memory carried in every footstep, every sway of cotton. Shadows stretching across the land entwined with toil and history. The fields themselves remembering the past. Each gust of wind a ghostly voice. Empty cabins creak in the night, shutters rattling, doors swinging slightly. Fact. WPA interviews note possessions left behind, furniture abandoned in haste. Folklore, restless spirits wander thresholds, unseen eyes observing the land. Invisible hands smoothing baskets, adjusting fibers. Whispers carried by wind, stories of vanished laborers echoing through the cotton. Memory embedded in the soil, unseen but tangible. The fields stretch endlessly under starlight. Fact archival maps show migration patterns, families displaced after repeated disappearances. Folklore, phantom regiment continues its silent patrol, marching unseen footsteps never heard but felt. Weaving past and present together, labor and memory inseparable. Baskets and rows carrying lessons forward, shadows dancing with intent. Echoes of toil threaded through every fiber. A faint melody drifts across the empty soil. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Fact, Oral histories describe spirituals hummed in absence of singers. Folklore spirits, embedding guidance warnings and stories into labor. Rhythm, carrying memory forward. Hands moving almost involuntarily. Shadows stretching across rows. Past and present interwoven. Presence palpable though invisible. Every note a reminder. Dust rises in the night wind moving across abandoned rows. Fact newspapers document yields lost fields, left untended laborers vanished. Folklore, invisible hands linger shaping motion. Teaching, punishing, preserving, echoes of toil imprinted into the soil. Memory alive in fibers, baskets footsteps. The living haunted by the unseen, whispers threading through the night. Presence persistent. The smell of cotton smoke and earth lingers. Fact, archival diaries reference fires coinciding with disappearances. Folklore, spectral flames marking boundaries lessons embedded in ash. Shadows flickering with intent, hands guided by unseen presence. Rhythm of labor echoing past toil, whispers carrying warnings. Every ember a story, memory alive. Shadows lengthen as night deepens. Cabin silent workers gone. Fact, medical logs note missing laborers, exhaustion, yet some never accounted for. Folklore spirits moving through living memory, adjusting motion, preserving lessons. Presence felt in every basket, every row. Rhythm of toil carrying the past forward. Unseen guardians marking endurance. Legacy etched in soil. Feathers, beads, and candles appear along field edges. Fact, WPA reports describe ceremonial offerings for protection. Folklore, spirits accepting gifts, guiding, punishing, preserving. Invisible but influencing motion. Lessons embedded in harvest. Gestures heavy with memory. Unseen presence threading into action. Rhythm of labor, a conduit. Shadows alive with guidance. Children pause mid-step pointing to unseen forms. Fact, oral histories describe youth sensing presences invisible to adults. Folklore, spirits instructing glimpses of past suffering moral lessons. Generations linked invisibly, cotton carrying warnings. Unseen guidance felt in every motion. Rhythm of labor teaching memory. Shadowed hands shaping understanding. Moonlight glimmers off cotton bowls, illusionary figures move peripherally. Fact, overseer logs report nighttime disappearances. Folklore, phantom regiment patrolling silently. Present shaping motion, correcting errors. Labor threaded with history, every step weighted with legacy. Unseen influence guiding hands. Rhythm of work carrying lessons. Soft wind carries spiritual melodies. Fact, oral histories recount singing without visible singers. Folklore, spirits embedding guidance, warnings, messages into labor. Memory carried through rhythm. Unseen hands shaping purpose. Baskets, hands, and rows alive with stories. Presence palpable. Past breathing through present. Lesson eternal. Shadows merge with smoke from distant fires. Fact, archival documents note disappearances coinciding with fires. Folklore, spectral presence manifesting, guiding teaching. Hands guided gestures corrected. Rhythm of labor, teaching endurance. Legacy preserved in every motion, unseen yet influential. Memory alive. Workers glance nervously at empty rows. Baskets, heavy hands raw. Fact, letters from supervisors describe strange phenomena affecting labor. Folklore, phantom regiment observing silently. Shaping rhythm. Memory intertwined with sweat, toil, and shadow. Presence guiding motion. Each movement tethered to past. Unseen, yet deeply felt. Evening deepens. Shadows stretch across fields. Fact diaries and letters describe nighttime ghostly sightings. Folklore, spectral soldiers ensuring lessons persist. Invisible guardians of labor and memory. Rhythm of picking carrying legacy. Baskets swaying fibers, brushing hands. Presence palpable shaping endurance. Shadows alive. History embedded. Moonlight reveals abandoned cabins and rows. Fact, families left possessions behind fields empty. Folklore, restless spirits linger. Guiding, warning, observing. Lessons etched into every gesture. Wind carrying whispers. Labor intertwined with memory. Baskets and soil recording history. Shadowed footsteps unseen. Distant melodies hum faintly through the night. Steal away, steal away. Fact, oral histories record spirituals without singers. Folklore songs carrying guidance. Invisible hands threading messages into labor. Rhythm becomes conduit for memory. Each step weighted, Baskets and rows alive with lessons. Presence shaping motion, shadows dancing across fields. Shadows lengthen, wind picks up. Fact archival maps show continued migration, abandoned plantations. Folklore, Phantom Regiment maintains silent patrol. Unseen eyes watching every action. Presence felt in every step, teaching vigilance, labor infused with memory, rhythm preserving legacy, lessons embedded in soil. The night grows colder, thicker. Fact WPA interviews note unexplained events lingering in abandoned fields. Folklore spirits moving through history, guiding hands, correcting motion, baskets swaying under invisible instruction, memory alive in every gesture. Unseen guardians marking endurance, shadows echoing across cotton. Silence stretches across the empty fields. Fact letters and diaries reference echoes of vanished workers. Folklore spirits weaving past and present, guiding the living in shadow. Lessons transmitted through labor, wind, and sound. Rhythm of work a conduit. Baskets carrying memory. Every row alive with history. Presence palpable, eternal. Darkness finally envelops the Alabama cotton fields. Fact and folklore entwined. Memory and labor inseparable. Phantom Regiment continues patrol unseen, relentless. Whispers echo in wind. Every basket, every row, a record. Haunting, enduring. Legacy of toil and spirits carried forward. Unseen, palpable. Eternal presence of past shaping present. Final echoes lingering unbroken.